Hello, this is Nathan Up from NFL Weekly, and this week we're going to be talking about Super Bowl 51. Super Bowl 51 is taking place in Houston, Texas, at Energy Stadium, where the Houston Texans play, and it's going to be on February 5th, around 7:30 Central Time. And the two teams playing this year are the Atlanta Falcons and the New England Patriots. And obviously, this is the seventh time the New England Patriots have been to the Super Bowl in this franchise. Not the franchise, but this kind of team that they've built with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. I think is one of the best of all time coach and quarterback tandems. So, getting into things, people see stats that say that Tom Brady's been in the Super Bowl more times than the Falcons have won playoff games in the team's history. And so the first thing I think of is experience, and I look at both teams' rosters, and I see the young players and the old players, and people who have been to the playoffs, people who have won Super Bowls, as in Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Nate Solder, who's the left tackle, other players on the Patriots team that have been Super Bowl, and they've been there, done that, so it's not like there's a whole lot of pressure. And then I look at the Atlanta Falcons, who have a very young team, a very good team. I think they're a good team, and to be honest, I did not see this coming. I saw it, obviously I saw it coming in the championship game, but I didn't see a Super Bowl run coming when the playoffs started. I didn't think they would make it. I personally thought that the Packers could because of the streak they were on, and the Falcons just shut them down. They embarrassed Aaron Rodgers, and they just, given the Packers' defense is not there 100%, but nonetheless, they still have proven to everyone that they are a dominant team in the NFL and a force to be reckoned with in the years coming. So starting off about the Falcons, I'm going to talk about each team, and then I'm going to talk pros and cons of each team, and then what I think is going to happen, predictions, what to talk about. And so let's start it out here. So let's start with the Atlanta Falcons, 11-5 record. They beat my favorite team, the Saints, twice. We played well against them, but that's not the point. Matt Ryan is having an MVP worth season, and he's just something else right now. I don't even know how to explain it. He doesn't hardly miss throws. He hits his targets well, and his favorite target, Julio, is a force to be reckoned with. And I just think he's a freak of nature. Julio is. But yeah, his size, his speed, his strength is unreal. But Matt Ryan is really, I think, the reason that the Falcons are in the Super Bowl. And so, pulling up his stats right now, Matt Ryan. This year, he threw for he almost threw for 5,000 yards this season, thrown for 4,944 yards. He had a 69.9% completion percentage and threw 38 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions. He's had a great year. I think that he's the reason that this team is doing what they're doing. I don't know. There's something I don't even know how to describe him. I mean, there's not one thing wrong with him. Last week he even proved that if needed, he could run the ball. It was might be scary for some Falcons fans because if he runs the ball, he stands the risk of getting hit and getting hurt. But I think that's fine. I think he'll be fine. I don't think he's gonna run. He's had a great year. Nonetheless, he's something else. And then you look at offensively for the Falcons. You look at Julio. Talking receivers, Julio, Mohamed Sanu, former Bengal, and then Taylor Gabriel in the slot or Justin Hardy. Gabriel or Hardy are two speedy receivers that can beat defenses over the top deep. They're pretty good for receivers. They're I don't know if they're undrafted, but they're late round draft picks, and they're going out there and they're playing their heart out. And with a quarterback like Matt Ryan, they just gotta find a way to get open, and he's going to get the ball to him. Then look at tight end wise, the Falcons are so-so. They're hit and miss with it. They've got Jacob Tamme, who's hurt and healthy. Then you got Levine Toilolo, who is a 6'8" freak, strictly for blocking, is what the Falcons use him for. Then Austin Hooper, who's a rookie. He's played pretty well. I think they've got some decent tight ends. I don't think the tight ends are the strongest, the best. But then you look at the running backs and Devonta Freeman and Tevin Coleman. When they both were drafted, I thought Tevin Coleman would be a freak of nature in the NFL. But he didn't really get a whole lot of carries last year. Last year was Devonta Freeman's breakout season, and so he really came out and had a majority of the carries. They did this, that, and he did everything. Both of those running backs in Atlanta can do anything they can do whatever as long as the ball is in their hands. The run game is, I can't really just sit here and talk about the run game because it's so good, and they pound it. They pound the rock. They've got a good offensive line, which I'll get to here in a sec. They've got a great offensive line, and they're able to hit holes, to break a tackle. Devonta Freeman, I think, is one of the best at taking someone out of their shoes and juking them. Tevin Coleman, I think, is a better pass catcher, but they're both great at catching the ball and taking off with it. Nevertheless, two of the best, probably the best running back duo right now, obviously, but you never know. So in their offensive line, they've built it strictly, I think, around the veterans. So like left guard Andy Levitre, and maybe even Alex Mack, the newest addition to that line. They've built around those guys, like players like Jake Matthew and Ryan Schrader. They've really been able to protect Matt Ryan and get those running backs going and get some yards. So I think their offensive line is amazing. I think it's really good. I don't know if it's better than the Patriots, but we'll get into that. Defensively for Atlanta, a bunch of young players. I think the oldest player on that team is Jonathan Babineau. I think is how you say his name. Defensive tackle. He's been with them for forever. But that team doesn't have a whole lot of experience, if I'm being honest with you, and I think that's what's going to hurt them in the Super Bowl. Desmond Trufant, who was number one corner, he's been with them for a while. He's good. He's hurt, though, and so the number one corner, I believe, is Robert Alford. And then they got Jalen Collins on the other side of them. Two guys who have been playing well as of lately, but two shorter kind of guys. They're quick and, I don't know. But defensive line, Vic Beasley led the league in sacks this year with 15.5. He's amazing. He's I don't even know how to describe him. He's fast. He's so fast. He's really fast. For a defensive lineman / outside linebacker, I think Atlanta have used him both positions in the past 2 years that they've had him. And so, I don't know. He's pretty good, obviously. And then linebackers, they've got Deion Jones and Devondre Campbell. I think that's how you say it. But those guys, Deion Jones, who's a rookie with 100-plus tackles, and same with Keanu O'Neal, two rookies who are going out there and just playing their hearts out, and they're giving it everything they got, and it's coming out good. The result is amazing for them. I think that young defense, they've been playing lights out as of lately, but here's what I think. I think playing against Tom Brady, obviously a veteran, I personally think probably the best quarterback of all time, especially if he gets his ring on Sunday. His leadership and him being the veteran and this being his 7th Super Bowl, and he's seen every kind of defense there is in the NFL, I think. And Bill Belichick is a game. He plans for everything. I think that's going to come back to bite him that they have a young defense. Not that it's a bad defense, because it's much better than I think everyone really expected it to be. But I think Tom Brady's veteran leadership will be the advantage when it comes to New England's offense versus Atlanta's defense. I think those young players are going to make some plays, but also Tom Brady is Tom Brady. So you can't really say this defense is going to stop him because these are young, fast players. But I think that it'd be kind of hard to stop Tom Brady. He's hungry for that 5th ring. I almost said 7th. 5th ring. And I think that he stands a pretty decent chance to get it on Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, talking about the Patriots, I think that the Patriots are good, and it's not surprising to me that they're in the Super Bowl this year. I could have seen it. I didn't expect the Broncos to do as bad. They were my other favorite for the AFC. But, you see Tom Brady, the quarterback he is, obviously, there's not a whole lot to say about him, but besides it's Tom Brady, and He has a chance on Sunday to get his 5th ring. I think he can do that very easily. And so you look at the offense that's built around him. LeGarrette Blount, 18 rushing touchdowns this season. He is a freak, and we've known that for a while now, but this season he's really come out, and the Patriots have used him a lot more. He's no longer just a short yardage back. He's not a third down back or a goal line back. He's almost an every down back. They can really pound the rock, and that is one thing to look for on Sunday with New England Patriots going up against that young Atlanta defense, is them pounding the rock. With those veteran offensive linemen, people who have been there, done that, and blocked just about everybody in the NFL. Look at other running backs for New England, James White and Dion Lewis, and crazy stat. The Patriots are 16-0 when Dion Lewis has played. He's been hurt left and right. So, I don't even know. It's an ad. So, I don't know. Receivers, Julian Edelman, Malcolm Mitchell, Chris Hogan, who's come out. I think Tom Brady will do a great job spreading the ball out. I don't think Keanu O'Neal is a great safety, but I think those corners in Atlanta are going to struggle against these receivers like Edelman, Hogan, Michael Floyd. If he plays, I don't know. His history and who he is kind of have messed up his career. Then you look at their offensive line. Well, actually, tight end. So Gronkowski's been hurt, and I think they've been just fine without him. They found Martellus Bennett. He's been playing lights out lately. Former Bear. I think he's happy to be traded. It's a look at their offensive line. Nate Solder, Josh Klein, Shaq Mason, and Marcus Cannon. On that right side are younger players, but they've kept Tom Brady pretty healthy all year and protected him pretty well. Defensively for New England, I think they stand the advantage when talking defense. Not just because of necessarily the experience there. I think the explosiveness and the plays that they make and the turnovers and everything they do, starting with their secondary, I think is the best part, and that's the matchup to watch is the passing game for Atlanta against New England's secondary. So led by Devin McCourty at one safety position and Patrick Chung at the other, and Deron Harmon's in there, given the formation. But you look at Malcolm Butler, who basically won the Super Bowl for the Patriots a couple years ago with a goal line interception against Seattle. That was his rookie year, and so that was 2 years ago. And so he's really proved himself to be a good corner, an elite corner. Personally, I think he is. I think he's really performed that way and done great this year. And then on the other side of him, Logan Ryan, who's been playing really well lately too. I think that their secondary is good. I think it's good enough. I don't know if Julio Jones he's just a freak, so I don't know if there's a corner in the league that can stop him. But with a coach like Bill Belichick, I think they will do everything to stop Julio possible, and I think it might work in some instances. You look at their linebackers, they lost Jamie Collins to the Browns, but I think they've been fine with Shea McClellan, who's an off-season free agent pickup, Donta Hightower, and Kyle Van Noy and Rob Ninkovich, and the defensive linemen, young players like Trey Flowers, Malcolm Brown, and like a veteran like Chris Long, who was on the Rams last year and now is on the Patriots. Some good players, but my time's running short. So I'm going to talk about what to look for in the games. So what to look for is the Patriots haven't allowed more than 2 touchdowns in 10 games. So in the past 10 games, Patriots haven't allowed more than 2 touchdowns, and their defense is playing lights out. Like I'll praise their defense. I'll praise their defense just as much as their offense. They just make plays. Bill Belichick. Personally, I think will go down as one of the best coaches of all time. I think with things he's doing and the wins and everything that he does is fantastic. And I think his defense will slow down Atlanta. I don't know if he'll completely shut them out, but it might also be a wake up call for Atlanta and Falcons fans, as their offense might not be as explosive because Bill Belichick will do everything to hold down that explosive offense. In the last 6 games, the Falcons have allowed 19 points per game, so their defense has stepped up as of lately, only allowing 19 points a game. We'll just give or take, say, 20 points a game, which is great. I mean, they have been at home for a lot of those games, and so that might help. But with a quarterback like Tom Brady and with pure athletes like LeGarrette Blount and Julian Edelman, people who are just out there and they're working their tail off and they just really love the game and they're doing everything. They're doing their job and winning games. So I think the Falcons defense will struggle. I don't think it's going to be a blowout or a super high scoring game because it's two great defenses, and so I don't even know. But you look at the rookies in Atlanta's defense like Brian Poole, Deion Jones, Keanu Neal, Devondre Campbell. Those guys will struggle because Bill Belichick, I already know, probably has a master game plan or is working on it as we speak, and they just touched down in Houston like 2 hours ago, and so he is probably already working his tail off on a game plan for the Patriots to confuse those young players in Atlanta's defense. New England's receiver, Malcolm Mitchell, who's a rookie, he's a big, tall, fast, physical receiver. I think that him against, I forget his name all the time, Robert Alford. I think that'll be a good matchup to watch, Malcolm Mitchell and Robert Alford. If Malcolm Mitchell gets time on the field, and sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't, injuries, such and such. But if he's there, I think he might be a factor in his size because no one really in New England, receiver-wise, is very big with Julian Edelman and Chris Hogan and Amendola, but they're all great players. Another funny stat I found was when Julio Jones with the Falcons has 100-plus yards in a game, the Falcons are 3-4. So I don't really know how or why those two stats tying together. I'm not sure, but so you look at, Julio Jones again, his turf toe that he got later on in the season has slowed him down, and he's been healthy and not healthy and practicing and not practicing. I think that'll be a factor for this week to watch him and his turf toe. I think he'll be healthy, but if any kind of injury goes to his toe, again, he might not play. I'm not sure what a turf toe is, to be honest, but it obviously has held him from playing. So in the end, I personally think whoever wins the Super Bowl, that team's quarterback will win MVP of the NFL. Yes, Matt Ryan has done amazing things this year, but it's Tom Brady, and it's the fans, and people love Tom Brady, and people hate Tom Brady. But I think he wins the Super Bowl and gets his 5th ring. I think that kind of stamps two things. I think it stamps him being the greatest quarterback of all time and him stamping another MVP trophy this year. I think he will win MVP of the Super Bowl. I think the New England Patriots will beat the Atlanta Falcons with a score of about 35 to 28. I think it'll be a decently high scoring game, but a very good defense of the game. And Dan Quinn of the Falcons was a former defensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks when the Seahawks were in their prime and had the Legion of Boom. So we never know what's going to happen. No NFL game is given. No game, I think, is a given. But I think that both teams are fantastic and both teams deserve to be there. And look for the Falcons next year to be at the top of the NFC, and the Patriots the same. I don't think Tom Brady's going to retire anytime soon unless he sustains an injury next year. But I personally think that the New England Patriots win and beat the Falcons and Tom Brady gets his 5th ring. And so yeah, and that'll wrap that up for Super Bowl 51 predictions and previews. Hope everyone enjoyed. Yeah, and that's it.